All right, everyone, let's do this. Let's get inside Star Citizen Professional. Thank you. Welcome to another episode of the Inside Star Citizen Review, Star Citizen's longest review show ever on the internet here on DG360. We've been doing this for years upon years when it was called something different, and then when it was called something different before that. We have been covering Star Citizen for nearly, 10 years now. Congratulations to us. I will never give up. I will never get frustrated and quit this journey. I'm not going to be one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not a clickbaity guy. I'm not the guy that just says, oh, this is so cool, and then leaves it and then comes back. I'm not a Johnny come lately. I'm not a clickbait troll. I'm not a hater bait guy. I'm just me. I am DG, and I've been covering this for 10 plus years, and I will continue to do it because I like to do it. And that is the fun of this journey, because thank you. I saw Banana in the chat. Banana Fountain, get with it. If you don't know what it is, research it. Listen, if you don't understand these terms, we're going to create a dictionary so that you can get on the page with us. I understand new people are like, I don't know what's going on. Well, if you want to know what's going on, what you do, really inside you do. I know you just want to run away, right? Like that's your first inclination is just to go away. But there's so many good things like the Scoundrel Pack we're going to be giving away here. What did I say? A Scoundrel Pack. I'm going to be giving a giveaway coming up here from Eric Zarul, where it's nearly $800 to $900. The Scoundrel Pack. Can I get an amen and some ones in the chat? Thank you very much. That's what we do here. We continue to give to our lovely, lovely audience and fans the algorithms. Now let's get busy and let's watch tonight and see what is in store for us on this, our 1 millionth episode of the Inside Star Citizen Review.
In looking at the way that our teams are structured, especially after the Montreal merger with Turbulence, we decided to combine USPU as well as Montreal PU into NAPU.
NAPU stands for North American Persistent Universe.
Of course, why wouldn't
NAPU
they? That makes sense.
Is the regroupment of 3 different cities.
In order to kind of create a super team that gives them a lot of coding firepower as well as design firepower.
NAPU is really a collection of people from Austin, from LA, from Montreal.
We're all just getting together to try to make some amazing new features for Star Citizen PU.
So that includes physicalized cargo, in-game shops, and newer features that we're looking into, such as exploration.
We're working on mostly currently cargo and things regarding that. We recently finished work on the Hull C.
NAPU was formed in order to work on larger feature sets for Star Citizen, so that those features have the time and resources required to deliver them at the quality level that we want to see. NAPU includes several engineers, production, and QA.
We have 6 different programmers, actually. We have a few that are in LA, and then we have a few more in Austin.
Right now that includes James, Mitch, Kevin, myself, as well as Preston on production and Alicia in QA.
What I want to say is this right now. We've talked about the inner workings of Cloud Imperium. You see that they're growing in a bear market. You see that the revenues are strong. You still see people doing clickbaits on like how terrible everything is and the sky is falling, and yet you're still seeing the building. I can tell you, as somebody who's been following financials for many, many years, one of the most important things when I'm in a quarterly call or I'm looking over a report is seeing what's going on with revenues, seeing how strong the company is in the worst of times. This is getting worse and worse out there in the world, and yet we still see people working. We still see them growing. We still see revenues coming in. It's going to get harder, but like this is important to really acknowledge that really I don't see being talked out there at all. I don't see anybody talking about it like this. It's really important to understand in the in the big boy world and the big girl world that things are actually happening and in a bear market. And I've said this a few times the past couple weeks. I still don't hear anybody talking about that at all.
Did I say everyone?
We have two, Mathieu and Emma, that are here in Montreal.
Yes, I think I got them all.
So at this point, a lot of what we're working on is still in the design phase.
I would say in the technical design and planning phase, but yeah.
There's a lot of TDD, like technical design document going on, preparing the feature and all the parts. There's a lot of work in that area.
The North American Persistent Universe team are currently at the forefront of the next major evolution of cargo,
Unity? Oh my
hangar,
God, Coop, we're
and
gonna talk about
related
that
inventory systems. And as their work begins to enter the PU over the next 3 to 6 to 9 months and beyond, all building to what we hope will collectively become a true cargo career, we here at ISC, well, we didn't want to wait to begin telling the story. As much like the engineering and resource management systems of the EU-PU team, this work promises to be utterly transformative to the overall Star Citizen experience. So these next 2 shows, well, they're going to be a bit different than normal. That's because we're not going to have anything to dazzle your eyeballs with just yet.
Fine.
Yes, the ISC gameplay capture team, as great as they are, well, we're going to let them take a break this week as we let members of the NAPU team take you through the design and intention of their current work in a 2-part special we're calling Design Brief Cargo Career.
This is what I want to see. The actual things that are happening inside the company. This is exactly what I want to see. Some people go to sleep on this. I live for this. This is what I live for. And it better be more than just this one part. It better not be like that dynamic server meshing part 1 and then no part 2 ever came out. It better not be like that. Thank you, Doug. How you doing, Doug?
Bring it down.
God bless you. Dude, I need that more than ever right now. Thank you so much, Doug. God bless, man. God bless. Good to see you, Doug.
The focus of NAPU in the foreseeable future is going to include features such as freight elevators and instance hangars, as well as persistent hangars. Freight elevators are one of the biggest changes to cargo that we've seen in the entire history of the game. They bring the feature from being something that's somewhat magical to something that's physical. It adds friction, but also a gameplay experience around hauling cargo in our game. This one addition, I think, is going to change not just cargo, but also the way that we interact with everything else in the game: inventory, player items, purchases, ship items. It's a fundamental change to how players are going to deal with the world. Freight elevators are going to be implemented as an access point inside of player hangars,
where the player can interface with cargo to get it ready to put it on their ship.
And you'll use a kiosk to interact with the freight platform in order to call things up from your inventory or to put things into your inventory.
Now we're talking a home away from home, a player hangar, being able to stock it, being able to store all your goods, man. This is what I'm talking about.
The way that the freight elevators are going to be implemented is
I'm
actually...
feeling it too, Doug. I'm feeling it too, dude. Thank you so much for those biddies, man. Pay me in those Bezos biddies, man.
With a common denominator.
Daughter's car just went out last night. Christy just lost her job. Trust me, I'm going to be using all those Bezos biddies. Trust me, Doug. Thank you.
Using the same technology as we use for the cargo grids and the ships. Players will be using their tractor beams in order to detach things from the platform and then haul it onto their ship, and vice versa. They'll be using the tractor beams in order to detach things from the cargo grids and put them onto the freight platform.
Yes,
I think that this is going to make the whole experience feel a lot more tactile and organic, as well as there's a lot of fun and interesting gameplay around just how you stack things, how you sequence them.
This is a really good idea. This is something we've wanted from the very beginning. Use for your hangars to have a home away from home, a home base where you can collect all your things, look at them, continue to accrue them, bring them in, sell them. That would be great. be able to just mass sell them, put them on a marketplace so they could literally sell from your hangar, which is something I highly recommend. Cloud Imperium, by the way, that you should do. Can I get an amen for that as well? This needs to happen ASAP. It needed to happen years and years and years ago. And finally, it is something that they're addressing, and I'm glad that they're doing it. And it is a very big positive to keep player retention. Player retention is so very important. They're starting to realize that because they are losing people from bad PR and slip-ups and tripping, and they're saying, hey, we got to recollect, we got to regroup, and we're going to give people a home. That's very intelligent. This is a very smart move to focus on this right now.
Take a group of people, decide how you're actually going to load things together. It's like that time that you go and move with a U-Haul and your friends. You got to figure out where to put the couch, but in-game. It's going to be figuring out where do we take that big box, where do we put the ship items, where do we put the guns, and try to sequence it in a way that's both optimal as well as, I think, fun.
We don't just want to have the feature, exist in a void. Really what we want to try and do is work with the whole scope of the game to support cargo. So this is something for outposts, for UGF, where we want to look at how do we really take advantage of cargo in these spaces.
However, it does mean that the outpost will also support the same manual loading process that the hangars and those other locations use.
So not only are you participating in cargo, in a hangar, in a station, but out in the verse as well, at an outpost.
And while freight elevators will be available throughout locations in the persistent universe, much of the work involved in manually loading and unloading your vehicles will always involve your hangars, which presented the team with some unique challenges to address and overcome, starting with the next iteration of instanced hangars.
Instanced hangars solve a particular problem. How do we have people spending an extended period of time in their hangar loading cargo now that we've added these freight platforms, but also allow the locations to have traffic coming in and out of the landing zones? What we're doing here is decoupling the access to a hangar from the occupancy. And all that really means is that we can dynamically create these hangars at runtime, and they're kind of set aside for players to spend time inside of.
Without getting too much into it, right, you're gonna have a personal space. We're just looking at ways that a lot more players can do this simultaneously.
And they're also doing it really, the brass tacks of it is, that's what we want as gamers. We want that. But what they're doing as a business is they're doing it because they know that there will be more asses in seats playing the game, because now they have somewhere they can have a home base, their own hangar. It's a smart move.
I don't want to have a big choke point of everybody trying to load their ships and unload, and all trying to do that in the same space.
And I like your
so
comments.
We have instanced hangars as a way to put
you
you in an area
man.
where you can feel comfortable. Online, huh? You can take the time that you want to load or unload your cargo, and really engage in that system the way that you choose.
And so you can actually have your personal space to deal with cargo inside a hangar, and depending on your ship, there'll be different situations and different locations for that.
But the thing with this one is that when you leave, things gonna basically go away.
Once you want to leave, you'll just make a request to ATC, and the hangar will move into place. We'll open up the doors and you'll be able to leave. And then the same thing when landing, you make a request to ATC. The system will allocate the space for you, open the hangar, and you can land. For the players, it will seem...
You know what else is going to be nice about this is when you are in an instance where you're dying and you go back to the hangar, you can pop out real quick and get back in the action. I believe that's going to be a lot better than station hangars, where you got to run around, you got to get to the hangar in the station, then leave. When you have your player hangar, if you're able to do that, basically use it as your load point, go out, boom, right back into the battle, and it's not going to be as lengthy of a process. And for that also, they get positive points for me.
Seamless. But underneath the hood, the system itself is going to be maintaining a representation of where all the players are, what requirements are needed, without having a bottleneck for players who are actually just trying to play the game otherwise. And then we have persistent hangars.
It depends,
persistent
though, right,
hangars
Fingers?
are kind of an evolution of instant hangars.
Going with that, Fingers.
And really what it is our first step towards real player ownership in the game. beyond ships.
The cool thing is that you'll be able to put your stuff in it, come back to it, and it's still gonna be there.
It's just whatever the player wants to keep inside their hangar, that's their home. They can just leave them lie around, they can arrange them however they want, be it weapons, cargo, or dead.
Dude, this is so smart to do, man. I've been waiting and waiting for something like this for ages.
Corpses or whatever.
Very, very long term. I have no clue of.
Yeah, this is definitely worth being excited about. I like this episode. This is good here. Thank you, Doug. Doug, you are gonna get that VIP treatment right now. Thank you, Doug. You're literally supporting me tonight. My daughter is very, very proud of you for all your help to help her buy a new battery for her car. Thank you, dude.
Any dates or anything, but you'll be able to customize it and upgrade it so it becomes bigger. You can have bigger ships in them. And maybe at some point, even having them like at distant location, you could buy a second one. For now, it's going to really be on your own location.
It's persistent to you and your character. And you can invite friends to your hangar. You can load up your ship. You can take the haul from your mission, out of your ship and distribute it to your buddies. So persistence of hangars is really important.
Right,
this is going to be developed more in the future. We're going to use the same technology that we're using to build this for other things in the game, such as player hubs. And it's a real, I think, exciting way for the players to feel like they have a more permanent place in the game that they can call their own.
Essentially, it's the land system come early. It's the prequel to the land system. This is everything that the land system is going to bring to us. When you have ownership, there is more reason to log in. When you have this layer of ownership, even though it's baby phase right now, it gives you a reason to continue to log in. You own it, right? And that's what I'm trying to say also about Web3 gaming, but I won't get into that. Web3 gaming is going to hit real hard, and it's going to hit just like this right now, times 1,000. This is the reason people will continually come back to a title, is the ownership and building and growing and it meaning something. How many titles can you think of that you continually played because you could amass your wealth, your fortune, your business, all these things that you can do in these different titles, come back, see what new things have happened, exploit certain prices, get profit in certain areas, like these types of things you always came back into the game for because you were wondering, hey, what happened while I was gone? And how many more things can I bring back to home base? How many more things can I build upon? It's really, really an important aspect of game design. It really is. And I'm glad that we're seeing this now enter after all these years in a meaningful way.
I can't help but notice the ISC gameplay capture team snuck some conceptual visualization in there after all. What can I say? They love what they do. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that everything you're hearing about today is the current intention of the design team at the time that we film this. Now, as with all things you see and hear about on any ISC, it's always a work in progress,
right,
and may, and often will, continue to evolve as development progresses and concepts are tested. Now, so far in our design brief cargo career, we've talked about how you'll move and store your boxes. So let's find out more about what happens inside those boxes going forward.
With 320, we introduced a new packing system that allows us to use a larger set of box sizes. Right now, that includes 1 SEU, 2, 4, 8, 16, 24, and 32. However, with this new version of cargo coming out subsequently, we're going to be adding the ability to have what we call inventory container boxes.
Inventory actually plays a big part of cargo as well. When you look at the sheer scope of number of boxes and a number of weapons and armor and FPS entities that we have in our game, we really want to make sure that not only is cargo physicalized, but that inventory has a proper location and place as well.
If you go to Port Tressler and you hit I, you'll bring up the player inventory screen.
You know what this is really giving me hope for? Seeing all this talk about your hangars, physicalized inventory, all this thing's really getting me hyped up for CitizenCon, that they're going to have a really good panel when it comes to the economy, and that Tony Z is going to show up, man.
And you'll see
Like,
that, okay, I have my access to Fortressler inventory no matter where I am standing in the station. That's going to go away. This is very important because what it means is it gives the players a way to transfer in a very clean and effective way all of the loose items that you collect during gameplay.
A big change that's coming up is going to be having properties for those boxes. So that could be something like a box that's fragile.
Oh my Jesus. Uh-oh, that was
or
bad. That
a
was
box that could be radioactive.
Wow, this is awesome, man. This is awesome.
Or that needs to be kept cool. The other thing we're looking at with cargo and cargo boxes is the ability to store large items in your cargo boxes. This could be anything from a ship weapon to even smaller vehicles like Grey Cats. That way, when you're going with your friends, you're going to do a long haul across the verse, you can have these.
Dudes, yes, 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 yes. We're literally talking about the conceptualization of hauling around any size cargo whatsoever, and to be able to piece these things together like Lego blocks on a hull or whatever ship it is that you're freighting these cargo containers around in. This is brilliant. I love this. Love, love, love what I'm seeing.
Larger boxes filled to the brim with as many ship weapons as your ship is going to carry.
Anything that you think you want to take with you and hold on to, now you can put them in an inventory container box, snap them into the cargo grid, and haul it into your ship. Additionally, you'll be able to take those to the freight platforms in order to put them into your inventory.
The physics grid is going to have so much strength.
So it gives a kind of universal way to haul things around in the game, as well as a way for players to be able to pirate player inventories now.
Yes.
You're not gonna hate me.
Yes.
Now that you have these goods that are locked up together in these inventory containers, it just takes a tractor beam in order to carry them off. So it gives a lot of gameplay possibilities for us to have with these loose items.
I've been happy like this watching an Inside Star Citizen.
A lot of these things will tie into missions and where you decide to place them on your ship. So we're really trying to make sure with cargo, it's not just a wide system, but that we're actually adding these kind of elements to help further gameplay, missions, and purpose.
Awesome.
You guys had the week off. This is a design brief show. It's talking and it's intent, and none of this stuff is ready to show yet. Don't you want a week off? Your stuff's so weird anyway. No weird stuff for cargo grid. Back to the spaceship.
We have some additional changes that we're going to be making to the cargo grids that allow them to have any sized item attached into them. At the moment, we have effectively one kinds of items that attach to the cargo grids. Those are the cargo boxes, and they all have a similar size step on the dimension. What I just mean by that is they're all what we call 1S.
By the way, don't be fooled. This is the game, the cargo, the items, the value, the assets, the ability to gather this, to the wealth, the organizations, the power. All of this comes from this, the manufacturing. Every facet that goes into this is really the game that will be played in the sandbox, man. It's the backbone of the game. So I don't know who's talked about this yet and how many different Star Citizen content creators are trying to find a way to bring in all the hater bait and the drama and all the bad news about this, because you're going to probably see that like, oh, you're going to have issues with the physics grid. You're going to have issues with these bugs, blah, 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 blah. You're going to hear all the problems now. But let's just focus on the positive right now, because this is a step in the right direction. And it's really the backbone of the game.
You length multiples on each side. We're going to have it to where anything can attach to the cargo grid as long as it's a physical item in the game. Anything that you can grab with that tractor beam that can reasonably snap into place will be able to snap into place. And this is a requirement just to satisfy the inventory changes that we're making now that you won't have this kind of magical access. But it also, I think, broadens the horizons about what your cargo grid and all of your ships can be used for. I think it'll also open up a lot of fun gameplay around just figuring out how to arrange all these things in a way that works well.
I love these comments, man. It's great. What's up, Woods?
So yeah, that's part one of our talk about Design Brief Cargo Career. Next week, we'll be back with changes to vehicles and location inventory, larger cargo item support, kiosk changes, the item bank, and even unique item recovery. So come on back and get the full scope of things next week. And as testing and fixing continues on Alpha 320 over on the P2, with the latest additions to Arena Commander and the Precision Universe heading your way, you can check out the robertsspaceindustries.com website or launcher for details on when that releases. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and for indulging us in these mostly visual-free design brief shows. And we'll see you all here for part 2 next week.
All right, that's good. That's a good episode, and I want to see part 2, and I'm very interested in it. I like when they delve in deep. They show the teams working on it. They show the business side of it, and then they say, hey, here it is in the game. That's a recipe for success. That is some serious magic when they edit it this way. I like when I see these types of episodes. It gives me a little bit more of that hopium. It's a step in the right direction. Being able to have your own hangars is huge. Absolutely huge. To be able to amass your wealth and your fortunes and have parties in it and everybody chill out and have a good time. That's what it's all about. That's player retention. And then to see everything we saw about cargo itself, different container boxes, how you can put containers inside of containers. Absolutely unreal. Love it. If you're still watching here and you're on YouTube, please push like and consider joining us here. All these amazing people. Thank you. Can I get an amen for everybody who made it live? Thank you so much, because we have an after party after this. I'm going to try my best, my damnedest, to get the giveaway video out this weekend. If not, mea culpa, I will do it the weekend after. But we are having a wonderful, basically pirate package, the scoundrel package from Star Citizen. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Myrmidon. Hold on a second. Thank you. The DG Polka. I appreciate that. That will all go in helping pay for a new battery, because my daughter's car has some issues. So thank you very much, both Debane, Myrmidon, and Doug, who literally is supporting the show today. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. And if you are watching on YouTube, push the like button, share, do all that fun stuff. Now it's time for the, oh my God. Get mounted. This is brought to you by Predator. Bring it down hard. Thank you, Trip.
Dance off, bro.
CEO of Predator Mounts. Thank you, Trip. I appreciate you guys. All right, let's get ready for our after party. And if you're on YouTube, get here live. It's a fun